This is Eyewitness News on LA56 with live breaking news.
Breaking news, a child is killed and now the search is on for a hit-and-run driver in Glendale. I'm Ruta Shabazi in for Colleen Sullivan.
I'm David Ona. Welcome to Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. Air 7 HD live over Wilson Avenue and Olive Street, where police say a 4-year-old girl has died. Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter is there live with the breaking details in this tragic story. Leanne?
Yeah, tragic indeed. That four-year-old little girl hit as she ran out into the street here. And to show you just how violent that crash was, take a look over my shoulder here, and you can see in the middle of the street are the little girl's shoes. Investigators now trying to piece together the scene, also continuing their search for the suspect. Joining me live now to talk about this is Sergeant Tom Lorenz with Glendale PD. Sergeant, tell us a little bit, how did this happen?
Well, unfortunately, the child, for some reason, crossed between these two white cars here in the 1200 block of East Wilson and into the moving traffic. This vehicle, which is a white or beige vehicle, was traveling westbound, struck the child, and the child was thrown into another vehicle. Unfortunately, that vehicle did not remain at the scene. All we have is that little description. We don't even know if it was a male or female driver. And we're hoping that witnesses during this time, about 4:55 this evening, saw something, saw a vehicle with that damage, and would give us some information to help locate this individual.
I know you guys are trying to search the area apartment buildings. You're searching down at other corners to see if there might be some video of this vehicle. But what would you have to say to that driver at this point?
Well, it's unfortunate the child ran into the street. That's not your fault. But it does become your fault when you flee the scene. You become now a suspect in a hit and run. If that driver's out there listening to us right now, or if you know the driver, he or she, please ask them to return to the scene, or at least call the Glendale Police Department at 818-548-4911 so we can talk to you, because there could be a resolution to this matter. Otherwise, it is a very serious criminal offense.
And at this point, do you think there's probably likely damage to that vehicle that you'd be able to tell?
Without a doubt, there is damage to this vehicle. I hate to describe it, but the traumatic injury she suffered, and as far that she was thrown.
And that damage likely to the front end of the vehicle, the suspect vehicle, or possibly to their windshield? What do you guys think?
It would be to the, from what we're suspecting right now, is the front right portion of the vehicle.
Right. Thank you, Sergeant Tom Lorenz with Glendale PD. Again, the hunt continuing for that hit-and-run driver that struck a 4-year-old little girl. That search continuing at this hour. Live in Glendale, Leanne Suter, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Okay, Leanne, thank you for that live report. Other news now, Harrison Ford still hospitalized at Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center one day after he crash-landed his plane in Venice. Now we're hearing firsthand from a doctor who rushed to Ford's aid within seconds of the crash. As Eyewitness News reporter Alex Michelson tells us, the surgeon says he was stunned to find out who was in the plane.
Look at, he's gliding in right here. No. I hope he's going to make it.
Cell phone cameras capture Harrison Ford's plane clipping a tree and going down, while Ford radios for help.
53178, engine failure, immediate return.
So what caused the engine on this World War II era plane to fail? NTSB investigators say it's too early to tell.
There's a lot of different things that can make an engine quit.
Moments after the crash, a Santa Monica spinal surgeon who happens to be playing golf on the course rushes to administer aid. Running up, he has no idea he's about to treat Han Solo himself.
He's obviously an iconic individual, and when he laid there, as I was just kind of trying to check his airway and his blood pressure, and it was obvious by his face, it was Harrison Ford. I stabilized his neck, which is a common area of injury. He was, obviously moaning and in pain.
Unlike his iconic Indiana Jones character, Ford is an experienced pilot. He's flown since the 1960s, owns 8 planes, and often flies out of the Santa Monica airport.
Harrison Ford is a terrific pilot. If your airplane fails you, which it sounds like it happened, then there's not much you can do except rely on your good training and your piloting skills.
The plane that was here is now at a local hangar. The NTSB says that it could be several months before their investigation is finally wrapped up. Reporting from Venice, Alex Michelson, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Ford's plane crash is renewing the debate over safety at the Santa Monica airport. Neighbors argue it is dangerous because of its proximity to homes. They say their biggest concern is the large jets. There have been several crashes near the airport over the years, and Egbroden actually moved her family away because of them.
Small plane crashed through our backyard, tumbled through it, and came to rest against our neighbor's garage.
Everyone who lives near the airport moved next to an airport and then started complaining.
Take a really bad accident with a jet to really bring, people to be aware that this is an issue.
But aviation experts say crashes like these are rare. They say pilots who use the Santa Monica airport are well aware it's in a populated area and know which spots to choose in the event of an emergency. Count on Eyewitness News for complete coverage of the investigation into Harrison Ford's plane crash. Coming up at 7:30, we'll take a closer look at the safety of vintage planes.
Jurors reached a verdict today in the trial of the 3 men accused of robbing a Nordstrom rack and taking more than a dozen employees hostage in Westchester. Troy Hammock, Everett Allen, and Raymond Sherman Jr. were found guilty of second-degree robbery in connection with the January 2013 heist. Sherman was also convicted of raping an employee during the robbery. The trio held 14 people hostage during a violent standoff in the store at the Promenade in the Howard Hughes Center. They face sentencing next month. The 2 suspects in the shooting death of a Riverside teenager appeared in court today. 23-year-old Christian Velasquez and 24-year-old Manuel Barberin both entered pleas of not guilty to murder. 14-year-old high school freshman Lorenz Simmons was shot and killed outside his home in February in 2012. He was gunned down wearing his ROTC uniform. Police say he was not involved with gangs. Prosecutors describe Velasquez and Barberin as documented gang members.
Marguerite Dao Vong and her husband, Michael, were sentenced today for a deadly hit-and-run crash in Pacific Palisades back in 2013. The victim was the 23-year-old son of a federal judge. And Eyewitness News reporter Sid Garcia has details from the courtroom in Del Air.
The judge would only allow still cameras into the courtroom as Marguerite Vong was sentenced to 3 years in state prison. She pled no contest to felony hit-and-run for driving the car that struck and killed 23-year-old David Pragerson. The budding filmmaker's father and grandfather are federal judges. Pragerson was run over by Vong December 27, 2013. He died New Year's Eve. It happened on this stretch of Chautauqua Boulevard in Pacific Palisades. Vong was on her way to her postal service job at 3 a.m. when she hit Pragerson. Vong's husband, Michael, was sentenced to 1 year in county jail and 3 years probation for helping destroy evidence. In court, evidence showed that Mr. Vong had his wife's car repaired after the accident. David Pragerson's father, Judge Dean Pragerson, called the Vongs monsters for killing his son. He said the Vongs annihilated David that night and left him behind like roadkill. The Vongs did not speak in court, but their 3 children did, apologizing to the Pragersons for what happened. After the sentencing, Pragerson's family and friends did not want to talk about what happened in court. But the Vongs, their daughter's father-in-law, said the Vongs are good people. He's hoping, in time, the Pragersons can forgive them.
That's the only way they're ever going to have the solace and the peace of mind that they, I'm sure, deserve. And that's not easy to do, but I know it's possible.
And indications are Mrs. Vong will serve only half of her state prison sentence, about 1.5 years. Her husband, about 6 months in county jail. At the Del Air Courthouse near LAX, I'm Sid Garcia, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Well, the case of a stolen Oscar dress is closed. West Hollywood detectives say they are no longer investigating the theft of that gorgeous pearl frock Lupita Nyong'o's rocked on Oscar Sunday. Dress designer Calvin Klein decided not to press charges, although it's unclear why not. The gown was taken from Nyong'o's hotel room but turned up a few days later at the scene of the crime, apparently after the thief found out all those pearls were actually fake. A jury has completed its first full day of deliberations in the trial over the hit song Blurred Lines. Marvin Gaye's family is suing Robin Thicke, Pharrell Williams, and T.I., alleging the song copies Gaye's Give It Up. Thicke and Williams both testified denying the claims. An attorney for the Gaye family told jurors that they could award millions of dollars if they determined Blurred Lines is a copyright infringement. The jury will resume deliberations on Tuesday.
A mountain lion captured at a Temecula shopping mall dies. The sedated full-grown male had been described as in good health and was set to be released. Eyewitness News reporter Leticia Juarez has details.
This is the mountain lion, shortly after California Department of Fish and Wildlife officers tranquilized it. The 150-pound lion was spotted roaming the parking lot of the Promenade Mall in Temecula early this morning.
I would have been surprised. I don't know. I don't think you'd ever think to see a mountain lion out here.
And he'd be right. Mountain lions are elusive and usually steer clear of populated areas. Unfortunately, this adult mountain lion did not make it back to the wilderness. Wildlife officials say he died en route back to a local nature preserve.
It's probably losing some territory where it's at, so it's coming into our territory. It's kind of getting some, or looking for food and things, which is making it kind of scary for us.
Wildlife officials say it was a good thing the mall was not open at the time. While the mountain lion was not acting aggressively, there is no telling what could have happened. This woman says she was walking in the area this morning about the same time wildlife officials were trying to corral the animal.
And what I would have done is to stay calm. That's what you have to do, because if you react, if animals see that you're afraid, they react. So if you don't react, then they won't react.
If you do spot a mountain lion, it's best to contact wildlife officials or dial 911. Cody Bauman says he would have done that, and one more thing.
Oh, dude, I would have had my phone out. I've been recording that thing. That thing's tight. Tight.
Wildlife officials tell us that the mountain lion was sent for a necropsy to determine exactly what caused its death. Reporting in Temecula, Leticia Waters, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Well, let's talk about our weather. You probably noticed it was a warmer day. In fact, record warm. And here's Dallas Rain.
That's right, David and Ruta Bay. We had record-breaking highs today. And tonight, the temperatures are still warm up at Santa Clarita. Northeast winds gusting at times. These are Santa Ana winds. I haven't seen anything really, really strong, but we did have some wind gusts up to 35 and 45 miles per hour at times today. And look at these high temperatures. 74 degrees at Santa Ana. I did see Fullerton today, and down at John Wayne Airport made it up to 90 degrees. Well, what's going to happen this weekend? I'll have the forecast for you in just a minute.
Thank you, Dallas.
Okay.
The most influential people on the internet, straight ahead. Why the list may surprise you.
Plus, a violent road rage incident. A driver slams into a cyclist and then goes on the attack.
A woman flying here to LA is shocked when the TSA finds her chihuahua in her checked luggage. The little stowaway snuck in the bag without her knowing. We'll find out what happened next.
And Girl Scouts cheated. How they were swindled by a counterfeit cookie buyer. Surveillance cameras catch a violent case of road rage in West Palm Beach, Florida. Albert Johnson says he and a friend were biking home from work when a pickup truck started tailgating them. Johnson says the driver, who was blaring his horn, then swerved into the bike lane, knocking him to the curb. Things escalated then when Johnson confronted the man, 28-year-old Cody Hayes. On the video, you can see Hayes punching Johnson and throwing him to the ground. That's when Johnson's friend steps in.
He came over there, and the guy's like, "Oh, you want some too?" My friend's like, "No, I'm calling the cops." Since then, I've been real nervous riding my bicycle anytime to work or anything.
The driver sped off before police arrived, but not before Johnson's friend took down his license plate number. Hayes has since been arrested for aggravated battery.
A surprising discovery inside a checked bag at LaGuardia Airport. A Chihuahua, a TSA officer discovered the small dog Tuesday morning after an alarm went off as the bag was being screened. The woman who checked the bag, who was on her way to LA, claims that she had no idea the dog was in there. She called her husband to come pick it up. Luckily, the pooch was rescued before being placed on the plane. Otherwise, this story likely would have had a much different ending.
That would not be good. All right, well, hot temperatures out there. As we head into the weekend, let's head over to Dallas for a check on weather.
Thanks, Ruta Bay. And yes, we did. We had some record-breaking highs today. So we had this gorgeous time-lapse out of the Angeles National Forest. Only in Southern California we'll see the snow still in the mountains. Temperatures, record-breaking highs today, including John Wayne Airport, 90. Not a record there, but Long Beach Airport, 87. That was a record. Oxnard today had those Santa Ana winds blowing through, gusting up to 30 miles per hour, and UCLA today at 83 degrees, and they tied their record for the day. Downtown, we jumped quickly, did we? 70's the normal high, today 83, and we had the mini moon, full moon last night. That's because the moon's about 30,000 miles further away from the Earth, and so it's hard to see any real difference, but it was a beautiful full moon nonetheless. Rainfall-wise, well, we haven't had a whole lot. This is what we're working on now downtown, about 7.5 inches of rain. But normally by the 1st of March, we're already up to 13, and the average for the season, generally around 14, 15, 16 inches of rain. That's about what we do in downtown Los Angeles. So you can see we are still way behind. And when you look up at the snow, this is how it looked on February the 21st. This is Lake Tahoe area. You can see not very much snow up there at that time. Then we had 2 weekends of nice snow, and it's a little bit better. But when they did the survey, we found out that the snowfall in the Sierra is only about 20% of normal, 19, 20%. So we're in pretty bad shape right now because the drought continues. High pressure is the reason. We have low pressure to the south. These are the winds at about 20,000 feet. And with the high sitting up over San Francisco, and then it produces a gusty east and northeast wind through the canyon passes. And that's what we're seeing through tomorrow morning, too. More of the Santa Ana winds blowing through the area. High pressure over Northern California. It just splits the jet stream, and boy, there's nothing getting through, and I don't expect anything either. 48 degrees in Temecula, but if you like sunshine and blue skies for your weekend, after a couple of weekends of rain, you're going to be extremely happy. Down at Malibu tomorrow, 80 degrees, 86 in Encino. Pasadena checks in at 86. West Covina, 85. Even Big Bear starts warming up at 56. Going out to Palm Springs tomorrow, I've got an 85. Here's some of the forecasts in. Lots of sunshine all the way through the week. And temperatures 85 tomorrow, 80 on Sunday. So a little bit cooler on Sunday, but still way, way above normal. And then the Inland Empire, 86, 83, 82. Wow, look at that. No rain in the 7-day forecast. Hey, head to the beach tomorrow. You've got 80 degrees, a little bit cooler on Sunday. And the mountain areas, clear skies, beautiful weather, 55, 60, and then 60 degrees even in the mountains. They are skiing and snowboarding, though, David and Ruta Bay, because we had all that snow last weekend. They've been making snow, so it's still pretty good conditions.
All right.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
All right, thanks.
Police in South Pasadena are trying to track down a counterfeit suspect they say used a bogus $100 bill to rip off some Girl Scouts. Eyewitness News reporter Leo Stallworth has the story.
Police are on the hunt for this man, seen by surveillance cameras entering this Bond supermarket in South Pasadena last Friday afternoon. They say he attempted to use a counterfeit $100 bill to buy items in the store. The store clerk recognized the phony money and declined to take it, and the man left the store. Police say he then went to a table just outside where a Girl Scout troop was selling cookies.
Purchased 3 boxes of Girl Scout cookies with this fake
$100 bill and actually left with $85 and change of real money and basically ripped off the Girl Scouts.
Police have taken the $100 bill into evidence. It looks real, doesn't it? Real enough to fool a bunch of Girl Scouts.
It was unfortunate that Vons didn't notify the Girl Scouts ahead of time before they were approached by this individual who ripped off them, yeah.
Police say Vons did alert them after the store learned the Girl Scout troop got duped into taking the phony money. We talked to shoppers.
That's not right. You know, the girls are selling cookies to raise funds for their organization. My daughter was a Girl Scout.
Of course, it's terrible that the girls got ripped off.
How unfortunate that is, and to think that someone would stoop that low. He did, and so it'd be nice for the public to take a look at him.
If you do recognize the suspect or can help police catch him, you are asked to call South Pasadena Police at 626-403-7280. In South Pasadena, Leo Stallworth, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
A Vons spokeswoman tells Eyewitness News that the supermarket chain will be making a donation to help the Girl Scouts recoup their loss. It will also make an additional donation to support the work of Girl Scouts around Greater Los Angeles.
Time magazine has released their latest list, this one detailing the 30 most influential people on the internet. The unranked collection includes several big-name celebrities like Taylor Swift, Kim Kardashian, Justin Bieber, and Beyonce. But as the list name suggests, it also includes those who have made their name on the internet itself, such as Vine star Nash Greer, design blogger Joy Cho, and YouTube sensation PewDiePie. The magazine says it determined the list by analyzing social media followings, site traffic, and overall ability to drive the news.
New research reveals information about the history of water on Mars.
Plus a milestone in space today. Up next, a mission to this dwarf planet.
And frustration for a local high school band with some big performances ahead. Thousands of dollars worth of their musical instruments are stolen. But tonight, some encouraging news. Success for the first mission to the dwarf planet Ceres. Early this morning, the NASA Dawn spacecraft began orbiting the largest object in the asteroid belt after an 8-year journey that also included an orbital visit to the asteroid Vesta. Scientists will get a close-up look of Ceres for 16 months, hoping to solve some of its mysteries.
Ceres, that protoplanet, now allows us to look back in time to see how terrestrial planets are put together.
Scientists are hoping to learn more about two bright spots that Dawn recently photographed inside a crater in Ceres, as well as plumes of water vapor.
And tonight, new evidence that massive amounts of water once existed on Mars. For decades, scientists suspected Mars consisted of a much warmer, wetter environment than the one that currently exists, but new research is revealing that an ocean once covered approximately 20% of the Martian surface. That's considerably more water than many previous estimates. The findings also raise the odds that life once existed on Mars.
We are updating breaking news next at 7:30, including the search for a hit-and-run driver who killed a young girl tonight in Glendale. Plus this story.
This old airplane is a lot like the one Harrison Ford was flying. Question is, how safe are they? How hard are they to fly? I'm Rob McMillan at Flaybob Airport, a place Harrison Ford knows well. Our report straight ahead.
And Iraqi troops going head-to-head with ISIS forces, and we take you to the front line.
This is Eyewitness News on LA56 with live breaking news.
Breaking news at 7:30. The search is on for a hit-and-run driver in Glendale wanted in the death of a child. I'm Rutabaga Shabazi in for Colleen Sullivan.
David Ono, this is Eyewitness News on LA56, LA's only live local newscast at 7 p.m. Police say a 4-year-old girl was struck by a white or beige car at Wilson Avenue and Olive Street just before 5 o'clock after she suddenly ran into the street. So far, there's no description of the driver, but police are looking for any witnesses who may be able to help find that person. They're asking for the driver to turn himself or herself in. They say the car will have front-end damage on the right side.
Actor Harrison Ford is recovering in the hospital one day after crash landing his plane in Venice. Investigators carefully removed Ford's World War II-era plane from the Penmar Golf Course today. It went down yesterday afternoon, moments after takeoff from the Santa Monica airport. Ford had even made an emergency radio call telling the tower he was returning. The big question now is what caused the plane's engine to fail, but investigators say it's still too early to reach a conclusion. The type of plane Harrison Ford was piloting is familiar to local aviators. Local pilots say they understand what it's like to fly such a vintage model. Inland Empire Bureau Chief Rob McMillan reports from Flaybob Airport in Rubidoux with more on the type of plane Ford was flying.
A lot of people probably have never even heard of Flaybob before. It's not exactly a bustling airport. In many ways, it's more like a flying museum. But Harrison Ford sure knew all about Flaybob. People out here say he flew in and out of the place every couple of months.
He's a wonderful guy. He's a really down-to-earth guy. He's a great pilot, I can tell you that.
John Goldenbaum is very familiar with the 1942 vintage World War II plane that Ford was flying.
I think people, when they hear that Harrison Ford was flying an airplane that was 1942 vintage, they go, oh my gosh, it's got to be clapped out in a piece of junk. To be legal to fly, they have to be completely rebuilt to new standards, if you will. So Harrison was flying essentially a new airplane.
He says the plane Ford was flying was originally designed as a trainer. He calls it a gentle but challenging plane to fly.
Well, you don't want a trainer to be so simple that you don't learn anything. It's very much like if I were going to teach somebody to learn to drive, I would love to teach them in a standard transmission car, okay, rather than an automatic transmission car.
53178, engine failure, immediate return.
As for his assessment of Ford's piloting skills,
I've never had the pleasure of flying with him, but I've been in aviation for over 50 years, and looking at what I saw on at least the media coverage, it looked to me like he did an exceptional job. So I'm going to give him full score of being a really good pilot.
As for the plane that Harrison Ford was flying in yesterday, Goldenbaum says it is pretty rare. He estimates there are only about a half dozen of them in Southern California. In Rubidoux, Rob McMillan, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
And stay with Eyewitness News for any new developments in the Harrison Ford plane crash. Also stay connected on ABC7.com by following ABC7 on Facebook and Twitter and with the free ABC7 app.
A sour note for a high school band in Pasadena as thousands of dollars in musical instruments are stolen. Burglars broke into the band room at Marshall Fundamental Secondary School last weekend and made off with more than $10,000 worth of equipment. The school has a performance tonight and tomorrow. Authorities are checking surveillance video to try and track down the thieves. Some kids don't understand why the crooks targeted them.
I don't know why they stole them, because it doesn't really make sense.
The band did receive enough donations to find temporary replacement instruments for their performances tonight and tomorrow, but they've created a GoFundMe page to help with future performances.
A bill that would ban new red light cameras here in California. State Assemblyman Matthew Harper of Huntington Beach has introduced a bill prohibiting the installation of red light cameras, claiming that this will help improve safety and traffic flow. The bill would prevent cities from adding traffic cameras at intersections and would require safety studies for cities that already have them. Harper says the devices have increased the number of rear-end accidents because drivers make sudden stops to avoid possible violations.
All right, let's talk about the weather. It was a stunningly beautiful day, very sunny out there, very warm, Dallas.
That's right, David. And tonight we're down in Orange County where it is a lovely evening. Temperatures are still in the low 70s. We have the mini moon up there. It means that the moon is about 30,000 miles further away from the Earth at full. And it's hard to see a difference, though, isn't it? What a great night. Enjoy beautiful temperatures tonight. And then for tomorrow, I'm forecasting sunny skies, high pressure ruling the roost, and look for temperatures again back up into the 80s. We had several record-breaking highs today across Southern California. 88 down at Anaheim. Today down at John Wayne Airport, it was 90 degrees, 85 out at Palm Springs. As far as the whole weekend goes, if you're going to be right at the beaches, warm about 78 to 80, and then on Sunday a little bit cooler. But inland areas of Orange County and all of Southern California, including downtown, will be very warm with temperatures at 80 degrees. Another forecast, just a few minutes. See you then.
Thank you, Dallas.
All right.
Now to Iraq and what the UN tonight is now calling war crimes in the ancient city of Nimrud. ISIS fighters destroying ancient statues thousands of years old. And nearby in the city of Tikrit, a massive offensive against ISIS is underway with Iraqi forces circling the city. ABC's Martha Raddatz reports from western Iraq.
Tonight, the images of destruction stunning the world. ISIS fighters toppling ancient statues, using sledgehammers, drills, and chainsaws to erase all traces of an ancient civilization. And now word, ISIS bulldozers have flattened Iraq's more than 3,000-year-old city of Nimrud. This is what the Iraqi army is up against, all over Iraq. From the north, where they are now waging their largest anti-ISIS offensive yet, to just west of Baghdad, where we travel to meet Iraqi troops and watch their artillery pound ISIS strongholds.
I'm standing right on the front line. These are Iraqi security forces on this side, and on the other side of that berm, ISIS.
Perched on top of these berms, an Iraqi sniper.
Can you spot ISIS from your scope?
Yeah, you can. Iraq's defense minister with us on the front lines himself today, telling us they can fight on the ground without American troops. All around us, eager Iraqi soldiers chanting and vowing to wipe out ISIS, but ISIS remains a formidable foe.
Even though American forces are not involved in ground combat here, there are thousands of American troops here training and assisting Iraqi forces in a fight that has huge consequences for America and the region. Martha Raddatz, ABC News, Baghdad.
A new Secretary of Defense is on the job. Ash Carter was sworn in today at the Pentagon. Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Elena Kagan, administered the oath. Carter says his greatest obligation will be to help the Commander-in-Chief make wise decisions about sending troops into harm's way. Carter is the 25th Secretary of Defense. He replaces Chuck Hagel.
Tonight, honoring the life of a local hero, a World War II veteran awarded 3 Purple Hearts for his service. He passed away without much of a memorial because he didn't have any family.
As Eyewitness News reporter Leon Suter shows us, some local nurses are working to make sure his life is properly remembered. It's a story shared with us through the hashtag ABC7 Eyewitness.
That was pretty special. Nurses Emily Brown and Suzanne Silva can't forget the special memories they shared with a man they say changed their lives.
He just was larger than life, and we were lucky to have him and to call him our own. He was called, it was Colonel and G-Pa, and everybody knew him.
Colonel Norman Wiles literally rolled into their lives when he was brought into the ER at Northridge Hospital in 2011.
This personality bellowed through the ER. It was like a magnet. You were drawn to him. And yes, he came in with his wave and his outfit, and the colonel had arrived.
95 at the time, they learned Wiles had been a colonel in the Marine Corps, joining in 1941. He had 3 Purple Hearts, always dressed in his uniform. He was a patriot to the bone, one without any family to care for him. His wife and son had died, his daughter estranged. But his sassy personality,
you'll bet my heart can,
always singing and laughing, drew them in.
For the past 4 years, we've adopted him, and he's adopted us. He has become family to us. We would go to lunches and dinners, and the barber, and shaves, and ice cream.
Colonel Norman M. Wiles.
They even took him to the Marine Corps ball, Wiles beaming with pride. He called the nurses his daughters. They were family.
Our worst fear really was that when the time came, because we were not family, we were not going to be notified.
That fear came true February 24th when Wiles died just before his 99th birthday. No one from the home called to let them know. They learned of his funeral just 2 hours before the service.
It was me and the rabbi and the 2 military officers that were carrying his body.
Desperate to celebrate his life and legacy, they want this Marine who served in World War II and Korea to have the honor he deserves. They're inviting the public to celebrate the colonel and all military members with a special service March 28th at the Granada Hills VFW.
He's one of those people that I just wish the world could meet him, and so in a small way, maybe this is just so that I can show everyone how lucky Suzanne and I were to call him family and to honor him the way that he deserves.
In Studio City, Leanne Suter, ABC7 Eyewitness News.
Great story. Up next, why a father is suing Amazon.com after his son died from ingesting caffeine.
Plus, a complicated string of surgeries is saving the lives of multiple people. Tonight, what the donors involved in this 6-way surgery are saying about the procedure.
And it sounds like something from Indiana Jones, where experts believe they've found an ancient civilization called the Lost City of the Monkey God. An Ohio father is suing Amazon.com after his son died from ingesting caffeine powder that was purchased online. The father blames Amazon and other companies that distribute the product for failing to provide proper warnings about the dangers of caffeine powder. 18-year-old Logan Steiner died in May. A coroner says there was a toxic amount of caffeine in the system, 23 times the level found in a typical soda or coffee drinker. The lawsuit claims the product is falsely labeled as a dietary supplement. Amazon has not yet commented.
6 patients in Northern California have successfully received new kidneys in a rare organ swap involving 12 people. Doctors at the California Medical Center in San Francisco successfully completed the first 3 kidney transplants yesterday, with the last 3 completed today. One of yesterday's surgeries involves Zuli Brazard. Her willingness to donate a kidney to a complete stranger set off the domino-like chain, resulting in 5 more sick people getting new kidneys.
I thought I was just going to help this one person who I don't know, but the fact that so many people can have life extension, I mean, that's pretty big.
The exchange was made possible by a software called MatchGrid that uses an algorithm to find potential matches. Following the operations, Broussard and others involved in the transplants will have a chance to finally meet.
Would love to go to this place, although we don't know exactly where it is. An incredible discovery deep inside the rainforest of Honduras. Explorers believe that they have found the ruins of an ancient civilization known as the Lost City of the Monkey God. Photos from National Geographic, which broke this story, show the ruins of a culture which thrived thousands of years ago, but then completely vanished. It's believed no humans have set foot here in 600 years. They aren't revealing the exact location for fear that looters could plunder the ancient treasures, which include this sculpture of a human transforming into a jaguar.
Wow, that is amazing. It looks like a beautiful area, too.
Yeah. It's a similar story. The Amazon, I mean, those forests and jungles out there, and all those civilizations from back then, they just disappeared one day.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, Dallas Rains is looking ahead to summer-like weekend up next.
Plus, dangerous and icy roads are taking a toll on streets, drivers and pedestrians. Watch as a car skids into a woman walking by, and then see what happened next.
And how new technology is helping people with physical disabilities live a fuller life.
Scary moments as a car slides down an icy hill and hits a person in Rhode Island. It's all caught on camera. You can see an 18-year-old woman running across the street. She gets clipped by the car and then ended up in the snow after the crash. The man you see standing in the middle of the street with his back to the car says adrenaline just kicked in.
Your adrenaline kicks in, and I was just kind of trying to move as fast as I could because I got a wife and kids at home.
Police say there was a pileup nearby and some drivers got out of the cars to help. That's when another car came down the hill, lost control, and slid right into the parked car. The woman who was hit was taken to the hospital and then she was later released.
And it's just so easy here in Southern California when you see those images from the East Coast.
Compared to that.
Makes you grateful to be here. Let's head over to Dallas Reams for a check at our temperatures.
That's right, Ruta Bay, except when it rains. We kind of get crazy out there, too, sometimes. We have the mini-moon. You've heard of the supermoon. Well, now the mini-moon's about 30,000 miles further away from the planet Earth, and it looks a little bit smaller, not quite as bright, but it's still beautiful. Down in Orange County tonight, skies are mostly clear. Had some record-breaking highs today, including Long Beach at 87 degrees, Camarillo, Santa Ana winds 85. That was a record. They tied the record down at UCLA at 83, and John Wayne Airport had the hottest temperature I could find today at 90. It was 83 downtown. 70 is a normal high. Remember, last couple of weekends, we were way below normal. Around the nation, well, let's look at that old jet stream. Still got that big ridge of high pressure along the west coast, and still some cold air being transported down to the eastern part of the U.S. It's 25 tonight in Chicago, 30 down at Memphis, Tennessee. Dallas, Texas at 42, and Denver has clear skies and 33. So the jet stream is going to pretty much stay in this position with the high pressure over Northern California, and you can see it dramatically. Here comes the weather. It just almost kind of splits around this big dome of high pressure. High pressure areas are areas of mountains of sinking air, so they make for beautiful clear skies. 67 still tonight over at Las Vegas. If you're traveling over to Las Vegas this weekend, the weather could not be better with temperatures in the low 70s even in Las Vegas. All right, here are the highs for your Saturday afternoon. 86 in Encino. Up at Wrightwood, they're still skiing up there and snowboarding, so have a good time. It's clear, 59 tomorrow, 84 down the hill at San Bernardino. Beaumont's a little cooler at 74, and then Palm Springs at 85. And look at those beach temperatures for tomorrow. Sunshine down at Dana Point in Laguna, San Clemente, 78 degrees. Here's a 7-day forecast powered up by AccuWeather on this beautiful Friday night. Now remember, we spring forward this weekend, early Sunday morning, about 2 o'clock. We get a little extra daylight time coming in. Days will be very nice on Sunday afternoon, so we have about an hour extra of sunlight. 85, 80, then 80 on Monday. And then temperatures next week really don't cool down very much. The high pressure weakens a little, but not enough to bring any real good strong sea breezes into Southern California, so it's going to be warm. 86 in the valleys tomorrow, just a tad cooler on Sunday. We're still well above normal all the way into next Friday. Wow, in the valley areas. At the beaches, what a day tomorrow at the beach. Go down and have a great time, 80 degrees, a little cooler on Sunday, and then we're staying in the low 70s at the beaches as we head through most of the weekend. In the mountain areas, as I mentioned, it's mild during the day, but they're still making snow at night. So I think the conditions this weekend will still be quite good up in the local mountain areas. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy that sunshine.
We will, Dallas.
All right,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Clippers coach Doc Rivers says his team will likely be without Blake Griffin, Jamal Crawford, and Matt Barnes for Sunday's game at Golden State. Rivers was asked today if he would use his team's performance against the Warriors as a benchmark.
Golden State's no benchmark for us. San Antonio's the benchmark for us. They're the champions.
The Clippers have been inspired in recent games by the aggressive defense of forward Glenn Big Baby Davis. Check out his intensity Wednesday night when he guarded Portland's all-star forward LaMarcus Aldridge. Davis says when he's on the bench, he has key phrases that he uses to pump up his teammates.
It's pepper sausage sandwich time. You know, if you ever had a pepper sausage sandwich, you know, with no mayonnaise, just straight meat and bread, time to grind, basically.
And if you can watch the Clippers take on the Western Conference leading Golden State Warriors Sunday afternoon on KABC or your Watch ABC app. After the game, Michael Cooper, Lisa Leslie, and Rob Kazaki for the Sports Zone. Talking about pepper sausage sandwiches. Spring baseball now. Dodgers, Seattle with the Mariners leading 4-3. The sixth inning, LA puts up a 3-spot. Erzbel Arrubarena caps the scoring with an RBI single at center, giving the Dodgers a 6-4 lead. And then in the seventh, Okoye Dixon adds an insurance run. He hits the Dodgers' first home run in Texas League action. 7-4 is the final. The Dodgers improved to 3-1 in spring training. To Tempe now, the Halos hosting the Colorado Rockies. Jared Weaver making his first start in the spring and getting some help from his friends. First inning, runners on the corner, fly ball to left. Colin Cowgill guns down the runner at the plate to end the inning. Perfect shot. Weaver tossed 2 2/3 scoreless innings. The Angels ace did give up a couple of hits with a strikeout. That is, the Angels blanked the Mariners 3-0.
People are traveling to Los Angeles to view the latest and greatest in helpful devices, and it's all part of the Abilities Expo. It'll run through the weekend. Eyewitness News reporter Miriam Hernandez shows us why it's generating such excitement.
Rolling through the convention center, they are mobility impaired or blind or hard of hearing. The number of attendees at the Abilities Expo gets bigger every year. And if the thought of those afflictions makes you cringe, just listen to them react to new technologies.
I feel like I'm on top of the world. Truly life-changing.
The scene that gives me hope to walk again one day.
I'm in control. I'm the boss of my life.
Here, it is more than wheelchairs and car ramps that get people excited. What they see here is a vision of their future with new possibilities. At birth, Michael Seal Jr. was 2.5 pounds with cerebral palsy. Today, he's a businessman who sells his art.
I don't want people to pity me or feel sorry for me. Just respect me and pay me.
Then there is Sheridan Jones, paralyzed below the hips in a car crash at age 14. Now, with a bionic exoskeleton called Rewalk,
I go from sit to stand. So this is me walking again.
She's not the only one smiling. Ismael Lara, a gunshot victim, couldn't believe his eyes.
It just gives me joy, something to look forward to.
The aging population makes this a growing market.
There are about 55 million people in the United States, about 16% of the population, that are technically covered by the Americans with Disabilities legislation.
It's a population that, with a little help, aims to be more of the mainstream.
Yeah, I'll just keep going.
Miriam Hernandez, ABC7, Eyewitness News.
That is incredible. It makes such a difference in people's lives.
Totally. Remarkable in the way how quickly it's advancing, too. Great story.
All right, well, there is more news ahead here, straight ahead at 7:30. And ahead tonight on Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7, new developments in the search for the hit-and-run driver who killed a 4-year-old girl in Glendale, the latest on the investigation. Plus, it's the latest trend for thrill seekers. It's called the Escape Room. We'll take you inside and show you how it works. These stories and all the late-breaking news on Southern California's #1 late newscast, Eyewitness News at 11 on ABC7.
Jelly bean art is coming to the Los Angeles Zoo. The artist who created this giant panda out of jelly beans will do the same for a zebra at the zoo. Then, and when completed, it'll join a traveling exhibit of endangered species, all in jelly beans. Visitors can watch artist Kristen Cummings at work March 28th and March 29th. The project is funded by the Jelly Bean Candy Company.
Wow, is that licorice and vanilla? What do you think?
You like that?
I like it. Thanks for joining us for Eyewitness News at 7:30 on LA56. Law and Order SVU is next.
This